Oh, yeah, it's Cad Bane. So Cad Bane shows up, and we're like, holy crap.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Melissa.
And I'm your host, Matt.
This week, we're going to be continuing our Bad Batch breakdown series, talking about episode 8 of Bad Batch Reunion. Before we delve in, Matt, last week we talked about opening each episode with the latest Star Wars news. Do you have anything that you want to throw on the table before we delve in?
I have nothing, but it sounds like you have something.
I do.
That you'd like to share.
I actually have two things.
Okay, hit me with it.
The first thought is I heard a rumor circulating, I think it was on Monday, about the Ahsoka show and a character who is, and I don't know if this is confirmed, but it's a rumor that's been going around everywhere. Barriss Offee from Clone Wars is rumored to appear in the Ahsoka show. Did you hear that?
Who is that?
Season 5 of Clone Wars. Remember when Ahsoka got accused of bombing the temple?
I do remember that part. Yes. Is she the one? Is she the one who fights Anakin?
Yeah.
She's like the Jedi one with the two lightsabers, right? She's kind of a dope character. So that would be cool if we saw her. I mean, that'd be a really cool tie-in.
It'd be interesting because it brings up a lot of past history with Ahsoka. So that would be an interesting way to challenge her character in that show. I mean, like, obviously Ahsoka is going out to find Ezra and all this stuff, but maybe they have an interesting spot for her. So I think that'd be cool. In other news, Tamora Morrison posted, I think it was an Instagram video of himself getting into a hot tub. And he's like, I've been filming the Book of Boba Fett for the last 7 months and it's been really intense. So they've been filming that since like November 2020.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That makes me excited because that means they're going to finish that soon. And it'll likely come out before the end of the year, right? It's supposed to come out in December.
Yeah. It's supposed to fill the
gap. Mandalorian,
gap.
we get Book of Boba Fett. I'm a little disappointed we're not going to see Mandalorian this year, but
That's a bummer.
Book of Boba Fett should be cool. I mean, I'm sure they have some gaps they want to fill in before the Mandalorian show. That's probably why they're doing this. With that being said, let's dive right in because more fantastic world building in this last episode. Why don't you go ahead and give the people the synopsis?
Okay, our synopsis for this week is the Batch find themselves cornered on treacherous terrain.
Ooh. Treasure. That's a little vague of a synopsis here. I mean, they're still on Bracca. Yeah, they're on Bracca still. So interesting episode. Very intense. Like well done.
Yeah.
Good sweeping animation. Again, very similar to last episode in terms of that. You get a better look at the scrappers. I thought it was great. I mean, obviously, we get some more exciting reveals at the end, which we can get to in a bit because I'm sure the listeners have some thoughts and questions about it.
Oh, yeah.
But what did you think? What was your overall thoughts?
Just when I think this show can't get better, it gets better.
Yeah, they're on a roll for sure. Right now, they're in. It's the mid season, and they're just going and going and going. They took some setups for the first couple. They did it right. You got to set up like. Mm-hmm. You got to get the fans interested and like used to who the characters are, what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's going to take some episodes to really get rolling, but they're on a roll now. Middle of the season, it's great.
They definitely pulled a Mandalorian in a very similar fashion where the last time, if you remember the episode after Ahsoka came in on Mandalorian, that was like the mid-season finale because it ends with that cliffhanger with Grogu and we got something very similar this week. Yes. We got a pretty big cliffhanger. But before we jump to the pretty big cliffhanger, we open the episode. We're on Kamino again. Finally, we see Crosshair after like a month of not seeing his character.
Yeah.
So he walks into a room. He comes upon a conversation between Lama Su and what is that guy's name?
Peter Pumpkin. I don't know.
Okay. We're going to call him Peter Pumpkin. Lama Su and Peter Pumpkin cannot. Noshir Dalal plays Peter Pumpkin. So whatever this guy's name is, they're having a conversation and Lama Su is like, hey, Crosshair, we kind of need you to bring back Clone Force 99 alive because they're valuable assets. And then Peter Pumpkin's like, no, you should just kill him.
You should just kill them.
Yeah, he's like, you should just kill him, dude. I thought that was a really interesting way to kick off the episode because Lama Su's like, we need them alive. And then Peter Pumpkin's like, no, they're threats to our plan. So just knock them out. And Crosshair's like, okay, cool. Gonna go commit some more genocide.
This was a interesting part because this is kind of conflict with their plan earlier. They're like, we need to recover the asset, which is Omega, right? And they're the ones we find out they're the ones hiring the bounty hunters.
So we have a separate scene where
that's the scene after this.
So let's just talk about the Kaminoans for right now.
Yeah.
Lama Su and Nala Se have a conversation. They're talking about how the Empire's mission on Bracca to dispose of Clone Force 99 interferes with their contingency plan. And Lama Su is like, we need one of these bounty hunters to bring back the child, confirming that they were the ones who hired Fennec. And then Lama Su's like, we need to bring in the bigger guns.
Yeah.
To get this kid back. And then Nala Se is like, well, why do we need to do this? Which gave me the impression that Nala Se has completely different intentions from Lama Su.
Yeah, and that's where I was a little confused. And tell me what your thoughts on this were. But I was a little confused there because they let Omega go.
Yeah. But
so
here's the other thing too. Nala Se let Omega go, but did she tell Lama Su that? Does he know? Is he in on that? Or do they have totally different intentions?
You certainly get that vibe in this scene that we're talking about. But what are their intentions? Let's theorize on that for a little bit, because the contingency plan thing, that was like a big line, right? You know,
Yeah.
You're like, what are they planning? What could possibly be going on here? And I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Maybe the listeners have some ideas, or maybe you have some ideas, but I don't know.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
Lama Su sounds interested in getting Omega back with Clone Force 99 intact, but Nala Se seems very interested in just Omega.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they're in cahoots with each other. I don't think they're sharing what the other person is thinking, but I have a feeling they have two totally separate plans.
Are they married? Are they like a married couple? Like, what's the deal with these two? Are they brother and sister? Are they like king and queen of Kamino? Like, what? Who are they?
I feel like it's like the boss and the boss's secretary.
Oh, okay.
That's what I felt like it was.
I don't know. I mean, they've been in Star Wars since Attack of the Clones. Like, you'd think I would have a better idea of this by now, and I don't. And I'm sure there's someone sitting out there listening like, well, this obviously this. Well, I don't know. I don't know what they are. It's a weird dynamic they have going on, and they're keeping secrets from one another, clearly.
I think overall, he has one intention. She has a completely like other intention, which is why she was like, is that wise? Should we be doing that? Everything's fine. Like, so I don't think they're on the same page. I think something else is going on here. I don't know why they want Omega back, especially because, again, Nala Se let her go. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be, it's like same thing as, you're right, it's similarities to Mandalorian here. You have the child versus Omega. We felt the same way with little Grogu. We're like, what's happening? And I don't think you're supposed to know, right? It's like, and we do see more similarities later on, right, with the cliffhanger, which we can talk about towards the end.
Mandalorian, if you think about it too, they're trying to clone Grogu. They're trying to clone him and do like a force sensitive army thing. No, that could be very similar to what they're trying to do with Omega. I personally, I don't know.
Yeah, this is obviously way before it, but I mentioned this before.
Yeah.
Like, the Empire clearly has cloning intentions, beforehand. I mean, obviously we know Palpatine gets cloned in some weird way, and then Snoke is some kind of weird clone thingy. But obviously the Empire does this stuff. So this could be the start of like why all of that starts happening,
I don't know what the Empire's intentions are with Omega, if they have any intentions at all.
I don't think they do. I don't think they know about this yet. I think it's purely Lama Su and Peter Pumpkin
and Nala Se.
They are the ones doing this, because if you remember in Mandalorian 2, the guys who are cloning them, they have the Kaminoan little thing on their badges too. So the Empire is connected with Kamino in Mandalorian, and I think we're going to see how that connection starts throughout this season, and like obviously in a deeper way than just Tarkin coming over and being like, no more clones. Maybe Omega is the Kaminoans' reason to keep the Empire speaking with the Kaminoans, because remember, they're not going to make money anymore because they're not producing any more clones. So maybe Omega is the link, and the reason why they're interested in keeping Omega and bringing her back is maybe she is force sensitive or something, and they're saying to the Empire, hey, we can offer you something different from clones, not the army, get your conscripted soldiers or whatever, but Omega's force sensitive, we can offer you something more and better. Now, I don't know that that's 100% correct. I mean, obviously Nama Lusa let her go, but do you think that that's possible, that that's the reason why
Dude, that's fantastic. That's actually a fantastic theory. And I'm so glad you brought up the Kaminoan symbol in Mandalorian, because I was aware of that, but I definitely did not think about it like when this conversation came up. So that's a fantastic tie-in, dude. That's amazing. And I could totally see that being the reason why the Kaminoans are like, hey, we still have stuff that we can give you. They're kind of scared about like losing their source of income. So that makes perfect sense to me. That's an amazing theory. Wow, great work. You're already off to such a hot start here, Matt. This is great.
Look at me. And I have some great other similarities and things to drop later, so stay tuned.
Moving forward with the episode, the Bad Batch are still on Bracca. Wrecker, for some reason, is teaching Omega how to arm and disarm like bombs.
Yeah. Well, you find out, and if you watch my reaction video, I called this out immediately. I was like, this does not seem safe. You can't be disarming bombs with a 10-year-old. But then he's like, oh, I was just joking with you. Oh, it's not a big deal, Omega. It's just smoke bombs. And you're like, okay, well, this is going to come into play later on in the episode, obviously. But yeah, I mean, he's helping her disarm bombs. Not the most responsible thing. This is a theme among.
This is. They're always doing something irresponsible with her.
She's 10 years old.
Some way, shape, or form. But he's teaching her how to disarm bombs for some reason. The scrappers on Bracca spot them. The Batch are aware of it. Echo and Wrecker pursue the scrappers.
Don't you mean Echo and Rika?
Echo
and Rika?
Rika, Rose. The Bad Batch stun the Bracca scrappers. They don't hold them hostage like you wanted them to be held hostage.
I thought that was going to play into it. I'm like, oh, they stunned them. That means they must have a reason for this. No, that doesn't come into play at all. It's just like, hey, let's stun them and then just leave them tied up on the edge of a mountain here, and it's fine. I was like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of a waste of a stun. Just shoot him next time. Who cares?
What? That is so in character for you to say.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's almost better than leaving them to starve tied up on the edge of the scraps of Bracca.
I guess they just left them there.
Yeah, they did. They just left them.
Oh, well. Anyway, so they capture the Bracca scrappers. Hunter says to the group that they need to find a way to pay off their debt to Sid and make money. And so they're kind of stealing this stuff from the ship to pay off Sid. They need the intel from the ship, so they send tech to get the intel. And we get a really interesting conversation it's like a 20-second conversation between Hunter and Echo. And Echo says, if we left with Rex, we wouldn't have to pay off Sid. And he sounds very bitter about that. And I thought that made a lot of sense, given the fact that Echo has a long history with Rex. And he sounds kind of salty about it.
Yeah, and I would be too. I said this in my reaction video, which, by the way, if you haven't watched our reaction videos yet, go do that. And you can see our full thoughts on it there. I feel the same way. I'm like, dude, just go with him. I don't know why they didn't in the first place. It's like, who cares? So you're going to stay on the scrap planet and talk to Sid, who you met 17 seconds ago? And you're going to keep working with her? Why don't you go with your friend, your brother, that's you. It's just a different version of you. Your clones. So go hang out with him and see what he's up to. And he just helped you guys out and you just let him leave. I don't know. I would have gone with him too. So I feel Echo on this. I agree with him.
You can't say any of the names of the Bad Batch from now on without saying it in Omega's voice, okay?
Echo, Tick, Rika,
Rose. It's Rose. I thought that was an interesting, seed of like distrust, kind of being like, what are you doing? Our only purpose is being soldiers. And Hunter's like, we're not soldiers anymore. What do you want us to do? So I wonder if they're going to carry that conflict into other episodes, which would be very cool.
Yeah, you'll definitely see some tension, I think, between the Bad Bitch.
The Bad Bitch. The Bad Bitch.
The Bad Bitch.
No, it sounds like the Bad Bitch.
Well, then maybe it is. Omega's the Bad Bitch. She's badass.
She's the Bad Bitch. See, another tangent again. But yeah, the Bad Batch are going. Actually, Omega goes up to the bridge to help Tick because he calms her for her assistance. They're on the bridge and dun dun dun, the Empire appears.
I get excited here because they're like, oh, the Empire. And it's like really the first time where that you feel like, oh, it's the Empire now.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I thought that's cool. They have the clones come out of those ships and then Crosshair's with them, obviously. And then we're like, oh, finally, Crosshair's back after being gone for 6 episodes or whatever. He apparently hasn't been up to anything. He's just been having gray hair and eating toothpicks.
Before we get on the topic of Crosshair, your comment in your reaction video where you were like, he's a silver fox. He's silver fox hair.
He is. He's silver fox hair.
Why is he the only clone with gray hair? Is he just that stressed out?
60. He must be. I mean, he's a little high strung. You can tell. Maybe it's eating all the toothpicks he eats. This can't be good for you. I don't know if he swallows them or just spits them out. It looks like maybe just spits them out. But...
So Crosshair,
his shot stinks. And I said this in my reaction video too. You're supposed to be, ooh, I'm Crosshair. I'm really good at shooting. Pew, pew. And he misses and he's like, try that again. And you're like, no, you get one shot. You're Crosshair. You should have hit him in one shot. You stupid
His
loser.
name is literally Crosshair.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like the baddest guy in the batch who can shoot. Well, you can't because you missed.
Okay. Last week, we had a conversation on whether or not Crosshair is a redeemable character, and I have seen a lot of takes on this. Because on the one hand, he's not in control of what he's doing. On the other hand, he's committing these really terrible things, like killing innocent people and trying to shoot a kid. And so I'm sitting there thinking, yes, I feel compassionate for him, and I feel bad because it's not really within his control. But at the same time, his actions are going to warrant some form of redemption or atonement that I don't think he's going to get, because I don't think he's going to have the chance for that. I think they're just going to, and he'll be done. What are your thoughts on that when it comes to
I don't think
redemption?
He's redeemable. No, but he got burned, and I'm like, good, get burned, you loser. You tried to shoot a kid.
Do you think there's a chance, or do you think they're going to cut him off before he even gets that chance?
Tough to say. And I've been saying this since the beginning. I think there'll probably be a moment where he's like, I'm sorry or whatever, but he'll die.
Yeah, I think he'll die.
I don't think there's any way you can bring a character back like that and be like, well, we're all fine now. You tried to kill us tons of times. Even though like they seem to forgive Wrecker pretty quick, but that's a little different because it was like a little hissy fit for like, I don't know, 5 minutes.
It was a temper tantrum for 5 minutes. And like I get the debate, but Crosshair's still doing these terrible things. And so I think his character is being written out to be more tragic, because you do end up feeling really bad for him in this episode. You know, at least I did, for like, because
kind of. Why? Because he's burned.
Well, here's the thing. Again, I've been talking about this with my friends. It's not within his control, but he's still doing the actions. And one of my friends, Jonah Marie, hi, if you're listening, she brought up the fact that maybe Crosshair could have some kind of atonement, Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier path. But I don't think that they're going to give him that chance to even do that. I think it's a great idea. I would love to see that kind of atonement, but I don't even think that they're going to give Crosshair that chance.
Yeah, that's a good point. Interesting comparison there to Bucky from Winter Soldier. I don't know. I don't think they will either. I think they'll probably.
I feel like they're just going to cut him off.
And they probably should, honestly. I mean, that's what makes good storytelling. You gotta sacrifice some characters here and there to make it more of a real story. Mm-hmm. You know, not everyone gets away all happy and hunky dory.
When it comes to Crosshair, it's not that I don't feel compassion for him. It's just that like I don't think he's going to get a redemption arc, nor do I think he's going to get the chance.
Well, they're not building his character up to be someone we care about. With Bucky Barnes, it's like he's Captain America's best friend growing up, right? So there's that element there, and you're going to care about him, and like, you want him to be redeemable. Crosshair was in like one episode of Clone Wars, right? And then they have the show about him. He turns bad immediately, and they haven't talked about him for the last couple of. They're not trying to build him up to be like having this internal struggle or having a super. They're not doing flashbacks to showing how Crosshair was integrated with the Bad Batch before. It's just not. It doesn't seem like that's the path they're taking.
Well, let's think about this too. Crosshair's like aim for the kid, right? Crosshair and the Empire cornered the Bad Batch, and when Hunter's trying to like reason with him, and then Omega steps in, and Crosshair looks at her. I did not take this as hesitation. It's like he looks at her and he goes, "Shoot her."
Yeah. That
didn't sound like there was any remorse, any second guessing. It was like, I'm not struggling with this. You're gonna die.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. And I think that's how it's supposed to be. It's like, oh, well, that sucks. We're gonna have to kill him, but whatever. You got to do what you got to do. Sorry, that's what you get for trying to shoot at a kid and missing because you stink at your shot, Crosshair. I'm gonna keep making fun of him until he feels bad about himself.
Yeah,
he got burned in this episode.
Yeah. So the Bad Batch are getting on that topic of getting Vadered or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The Bad Batch are trying to escape through the ship. They go through the ion engine, and they start it, right? They were like, we're going to start it. And then they jump
No.
off, right?
Well,
Or the Empire
Crosshair starts it, and they're like, crap, we shouldn't have rebooted this ship. I don't know how those ships still work, by the way. But yeah, they're like, let's blow it up. Bombs come back into play from the beginning of the episode. Cool sound effects from the bomb. They blast the deck, very similar to Return of the Jedi, as on Jabba's little float.
Yes.
They blast the own thing, a la Luke in Return of the Jedi.
Which, by the way, animation, unbelievable. Once again,
great animation, great
fantastic.
sound design. The Bad Batch end up escaping the ion engine, and Crosshair gets burned because he's a stupid loser who tried to shoot a kid. And they're like, all right, we got to go back to the ship. So they get up there, and the Crosshair's like, get back to them, go guard the ship, you dinguses. That's where they're gonna try to leave. And so Hunter and Omega get up there, but oh no, all the clones that were up there that were kind of guarding the ship that they had found earlier are dead. They did. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Who is this? Cal, maybe? Because we're on Bracca, so maybe Cal had something to do with this. And I think this was misdirection on purpose. I think they did all this on purpose. And then we find out a very Western way. It's not Cal. It's not Han, even though I thought it was at first because the voice did kind of sound like Han. Which would have been weird, by the way. I'm glad it wasn't. But it turns out being dun dun dun. It turns out to be Cad Bane.
Western music here to introduce the character. What? Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah, it's Cad Bane. So Cad Bane shows up, and we're like, holy crap. Now. I had no idea this was coming. When you and I didn't, neither of us theorized this at all, which was kind of stupid of us. I feel like it's kind of right in front of you because they did mention like stepping up the game, and we know bounty hunters are after them. This went right over my head. And when I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Like, this is who it should be, obviously. But he comes back. You and I 2 episodes ago, I think, talked about this. We're like, when is he? He's got to be in this season somewhere. Baboosh. Here he is.
The camera pans up. It goes up. It didn't even register with me for a second because I thought it was legit. Like, I legitimately thought it was Fennec. I was so certain it was going to be Fennec when they panned up the camera.
No way. I was like, it has to be someone we haven't seen yet.
Because they mentioned, the bounty hunter that's after, and they mentioned bringing the bigger guns or whatnot. I thought it was going to be Fennec, like Fennec had somehow tracked them to the planet. But as soon as they panned up, it didn't register with me. And you can see this in my reaction video. The second I saw the hat, I was like, what? Yeah. Are you kidding? And then we get the Western music, the Miguel playing the guitar from El Dorado. What was that tweet on Twitter? Somebody tweeted like the Kiner brothers when Cad Bane appeared. It's like Miguel from El Dorado playing the guitar. I was like, that's so freaking accurate. It's Corey Burton as Cad Bane and Seth Green as Toto 360.
Oh, that's Seth Green.
Nice. Yeah, that's Seth Green. They walk out of the ship and we get the best Western Clint Eastwood standoff.
Yeah, but you know what's so cool about this? You know what's so cool about this standoff? It's what we talked about a couple weeks ago. It's the same scene.
And I was going to get into this.
Yeah, it's the same scene that you brought up when he was originally supposed to be going after Boba Fett, right? And we're like, this is the scene that's like, you and I talked about it specifically on the show, like this is the last thing that they had that they were going to put in Clone Wars, but they didn't. It's the same animation from that scene that was cut out. Maybe you can throw it in here just a little bit so people get it. It's the exact same thing, only it's not Boba Fett. It's obviously Hunter. So I thought that was really cool tie-in there. So
I do have to say on Cad Bane, what I love about Cad Bane is that no matter who he's fighting, if it's a good guy, if it's your favorite character, you are always rooting for Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Like you want Cad Bane to win, even though he's the designated bad guy, because he's just that cool. When he drew out the gun and he shot Hunter first, by the way, Cad Bane shot first. I was like, yes, this is exactly how it should play out. He should kick Hunter's ass. He should.
Yeah.
Because he's just that cool. Like he's that good at what he does.
Yeah. If he gives Obi-Wan and Anakin a run for their money, in Clone
Which,
Wars.
by the way, it's been somebody pointed out it's been 9 years since we've last seen Cad Bane in a Star Wars media.
Really?
It's been 9
that long.
years.
Wow.
The last Clone Wars arc he was in the Deception arc with Obi-Wan.
Yeah, the one
that was 9 years ago, dude.
Wow, that's crazy.
So what an entrance!
This does bring up some interesting things, and this is probably what you were talking about with Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett. Will we see a live action Cad Bane?
We have many fan theories on that today.
All right,
and
so let's get into fan notes in a sec, but
and we will get to that because I feel like we're just tripping over our words with like Boba Fett and Cad Bane. But let's delve into that with the fan theories because a lot of people commented on that.
Okay, so we'll get into that in the fan theories. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the end of the episode. A crazy way to end it. Huge reveal. Cad Bane is sick. He's one of the coolest Star Wars characters, and you and I
so badass.
But if this means that we're gonna get a live action Cad Bane, I'm here for it. He's sick. Yeah, so cool. And I do think it will play into the Boba Fett series, if not Mandalorian as well. So we will see. But yeah, let's see what the fans have to say.
Let's see what you guys had to say this week, because I do want to delve into the Boba Fett and Cad Bane duel that we talked about a number of weeks ago on this show, but a lot of people talked about it and I want to give them a chance to share their thoughts. So with that in mind, we have quite a few questions today, so we're gonna just jump straight into these. Starglow.art says, just a theory, but the Bad Batch will go back to Sid, who will hire Boba Fett to get Omega back. Thus, we can see the legendary standoff between Fett and Cad Bane that was unfinished in Clone Wars. And then they continue to say, Fennec is also out there looking for Omega, and we know Fett saves Fennec's life in The Mandalorian, so maybe they've teamed up before or knew each other previously. Starglow.art thinks that the Bad Batch are going to tell Sid, and Sid will hire Boba Fett to get Omega back from Cad Bane.
Interesting.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think we talked about this before. Like, does Boba Fett know Fennec beforehand? And like, we don't really get that. I guess you kind of get that vibe in Mandalorian, but I don't know. It wouldn't totally make sense because it would give us exactly the standoff between Boba and Cad, which would be cool. It also ties Fennec to Boba Fett, which can tie into the series, which can also deepen the rivalry between Boba and Cad Bane if they have some kind of face-off where neither of them wins or something, or one of them gets away. That is totally a possibility.
If you remember a few weeks back when I shared the unfinished Clone Wars reel of Cad Bane and Boba's standoff and us not knowing how it ended for the unfinished reels in Clone Wars, this moment in Bad Batch, I think, takes place before that. But I think that that particular moment of Cad Bane and Boba Fett having a standoff takes place before, that whole moment actually happens. Or maybe they've just decided to rewrite it, because what I think
they just rewrote it. I think that's what it is. They used the same animation in this scene. It's literally the exact same.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. I saw a comparison shot where somebody was going shot for shot of how it looked in Bad Batch. Yeah.
It is very similar. But yeah, I mean, they'll definitely be. I don't think it'll be the same as what we saw in Clone Wars, but I do think that they'll probably try to develop that, and then this kind of sets up the Boba Fett series and gives us some hype before it comes, because then it gives Boba an antagonist for the story, right?
I wonder someone
if might be trying to overtake him later on, or someone who is just an old enemy that comes by, in like Western vibes, and that's very much what Mandalorian was. I think they'll add a lot of that into Book of Boba Fett, and obviously Cad is like a super Western type of character, as is Boba.
Yeah, really good theory from Starglow.art though. I think they hire Boba. I honestly, after seeing the end of this episode, I don't think we should write off seeing Boba in Bad Batch. Yeah. I think it's way more likely now than it's ever been.
Yeah, I think it's very likely we see him, especially since they're, releasing that show.
And Cad Bane and Boba were meant to be so connected because Cad Bane knew Jango very well.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, good call. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Great theory. We'll see if that plays out.
Starglow.art just kicking off the theories fantastically this week. That's awesome. Hidden Scribble's back. Hidden Scribble says, Cad Bane's return is not going to be a small isolated incident. Bane is going to start appearing through other Star Wars media.
Yep.
However, Bane's death at Boba's hands will definitely be reserved for the screen. Cad Bane will once again return in the Book of Boba Fett, like we just talked about, and be one of the main antagonists, and eventually will probably die in a duel with Boba once and for all.
Yep, that's kind of what I just said, and I totally agree with you. Hidden scribbles, I think that's a great theory. I agree with you. I think he will definitely show up throughout other Star Wars media. He's one of the coolest characters, and we haven't seen him in 9 years, like you mentioned, Melissa. But it's almost better that we've had to wait this long because it pays off. Now he can be interconnected. They build these characters, they build these worlds. All these shows are coming out. They're doing it correctly now. They're not just jumping into like they did with the Han movie and just kind of threw it together. They're thinking about these things, and if we get to see him in live action in Boba Fett show, that would be sick. I mean, in Book of Boba Fett might not be set in the timeline of Mandalorian. There could be flashbacks and stuff. We don't know because it's just saying the Book of Boba Fett. So maybe it jumps around chapter to chapter in his life, what he's been up to.
It's just a Disney book opening.
Yeah.
To more and more narrating.
Honestly, the possibilities are endless with that. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen with the Obi-Wan show too. I don't think it's going to be like super chronological. I think there'll be flashbacks as well. So that's a possibility with the Book of Boba Fett. And I think, we'll see Cad Bane in there for sure. But I agree with you, Hidden Scribbles. I think it'll be interesting to see how he's weaved in. I think he will be a main antagonist in the Book of Boba Fett. And this is a good way to reintroduce him to fans if they haven't, kept
met
up with
him
Star
yet.
Wars.
Yeah. It's perfect. Hidden Scribble also said on the topic of Crosshair, they're totally setting up Crosshair to be the first Death Trooper with all those injuries, and he might have to be genetically and mechanically altered to be a viable soldier. What do you think about that? Because at the end of the episode, he was bad. He was badly banged up.
Mucked up. He did not look good. I mentioned this too. I think I do think he's going to be one of the first Death Troopers. And that was the other thing is I was watching, in Rogue One last night. Like I said, I was watching it. You see them at the beginning of that episode, obviously.
Yep.
And you're like, that looks an awful lot like Bad Batch, guys. And this is that, and that show, and that movie, and that first scene is only, I don't know, 5-10 years after the Empire, not even, probably 5 years after the Empire takes over.
Well, let's see. It happens right before A New Hope.
At the beginning, though.
At the beginning. The beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're totally right.
Yeah, and he has those the Death Troopers. So I agree with you. He's going to be one of the first Death Troopers, if not. And then he also might not die and just stay bad forever, and like be the one who trains him. And that's something that I mentioned too. So yeah, I think it's a totally realistic possibility. They'll definitely need to fix him up a little bit, maybe even make him more into a super soldier type of thing. But
we'll Bucky Barnes him.
Yeah.
He's Bucky Barnes at this point. We're just gonna make all those comparisons without the redemption.
Yeah.
Silver Fox there. Great theories this week, Hidden Scribble. Who is next? Jellyfish Jade 21 says, what makes me even sadder about this episode is that Omega now thinks that Hunter is dead from the shot.
Oh, that's right.
She didn't
take her. Yeah, she didn't see him get up, so she thinks he's dead.
That's so sad.
That is kind of sad. I thought they actually killed him at first, and you can see this again in my reaction video. I was like, oh my god, they killed him. And I was like, but I don't know how that works because they do the same thing in Rogue One, by the way. Yesterday, you get shot in the shoulder and you're just fine, and like he gets shot through his plate, like he's just okay. Like I don't know. I'm not saying I wanted them to kill Hunter. No.
You're like me. Cal Kestis comes in. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know.
Cal Kestis was in this show. That'd be so sick. But he's so young, so it wouldn't make sense really. But
I agree. Jellyfish J21. Omega probably thinks that he's dead. And if that's the case, I hope they get a really cute reunion where it's like, give me a hug, because hug would be adorable. But yeah.
Well, you know what else is exciting about this is now this is where the season started getting really good with Mandalorian. Once, obviously Grogu's taken, Omega's taken, super big similarities, like they took the kid type of thing. Bad Batch might meet up with Boba to help, in the same way that, they team up with Bo-Katan and Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I think the season's just going to keep getting better and better. It's going to just take off. So I'm excited.
I do too.
I
do too. And also, if you notice, I didn't mention this. I wrote this in my notes, but I like how people get hurt on this show. And people die. And the stakes are like really high. Like you can't write off everybody being okay. Like I have reason to believe that Crosshair's probably going to die, and having the stakes of like Hunter getting shot, Fennec straight up killing like innocent people, Crosshair killing innocent people. It's like you need that grounded reality for the stakes to feel real. And I really appreciate that they're doing that, because it sucks you more into the story and be like, oh, wait, not everybody has plot armor here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It'll be an interesting finish.
Next question. Striker_art123 says, that Crosshair is going to great lengths, willing to put himself into harm's way. Yeah. He's just ready to commit murder.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's off the rails, this guy.
He's insane. He literally got himself like Dengard, like in reference to that character from Empire Strikes Back. He got himself Dengard, and then he was like, no, get me on the ship. We still have to pursue them. And you're like, what?
Yeah, he's crazy. He's lost his mind. This chip has brought out the worst in him, and he's just going to keep getting eviler and eviler, I think, and more determined and angry. I think he's a frustrated little boy right now, especially because now he's burnt to a crisp, and he can't shoot like he used to. So,
oh my God, I guess that's true.
So he'll be
Dude,
mad.
He can't. He's got his arm in his sling.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, he'll probably be out of the next couple episodes, and that's probably why they got him hurt, is so they can focus more on the Cad Bane aspect of this, which is cool, and I'm fine with that.
Right. Oh my gosh, man, you were just popping off today. You got some great stuff going on here.
Look at me. I am not the smartest when it comes to everything with Star Wars, but I got good theories. All right, and that's why you listen to the show. That's why you listen to the show. Okay.
You get some good theories.
Get some good theories from us on the Bad Batch show. All right, next question.
My best friend Lily says, and I agree with her. Hi, Lily. This is for you. Lily says, can we just appreciate that Cad Bane wasn't even reaching for his blaster and still won?
Yeah, he's a badass, Lily. You know this. He's cool. Yeah. He's cool. He's
Cad Bane's like probably one of her all-time favorite Star Wars characters.
He is one of the coolest Star Wars characters. That's why if you haven't seen Clone Wars, go watch it. Like it's great Star Wars content. There's a lot of really cool stuff, like the introduction of Cad Bane, and character development of other characters. So, he's cool, and he's here to stay, and I'm glad they brought him back.
Yeah, me too. Fire Joe the Goat 230 agrees with us by saying Boba and Cad Bane will stand off, and Boba will possibly take Omega to the Bad Batch. Again, I don't think that's unlike. I think
I don't think he's going to kill him, though. They might have a face-off, but I don't think Cad Bane will die.
No. I don't either. I don't think if Cad Bane is going to die in the foreseeable future, which he probably will, I would say it's more likely in Book of Boba Fett than it is here.
Yeah, totally. If they killed him here, that'd be dumb.
So dumb.
It's like he's a great character, but they will have a face-off. I agree with you, whatever your name is. I agree with you.
The last question is from 1RJTL, and 1RJTL says, what were your thoughts on the ending of episode 8 of Bad Batch? So cliffhanger. Like, what'd you think of the cliffhanger?
I love the cliffhangers. That's great. It's great setup for the next episode. I guess they kind of did that last episode too. You got to do the cliffhanger stuff, and they did this in Mandalorian too, and it is frustrating because you got to wait a whole week, but that's part of the fun,
I agree. Theories. That's why we have the show, so you guys can share your theories.
Yeah, I think it's great. I like the cliffhanger. It means there's lots of possibilities. We can, like you said, theorize and come up with ideas of what could possibly happen. And it's a great cliffhanger. I mean, you bring back a cool character. I can't be mad at that. If it was a stupid cliffhanger, just like, they're actually hanging off a cliff, which is where the term comes from. And you're like, what will happen to our heroes next week only on the Bad Batch?
It's not like Batman with Adam West.
Okay, but that's what I'm
Bad
saying.
Batch time, same Bad Batch channel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they did that, I would be annoyed. However, they're not doing that. They are bringing back a cool character. We have an idea of what could happen next week. I'm happy just that Cad Bane is back. And I'm excited because the next couple episodes are going to be bangers.
Yeah, they're going to be killer. I still can't believe they brought Cad Bane back. It makes so much sense.
It's a great call.
It's just such a good writing call, because if you want the person who defined bounty hunting, you bring in Cad Bane. That guy commands a room. He is, you know what he is, Matt? You know how we have hot hunky Rex and gorgeous hunk Saw Gerrera?
Uh-oh. You're not going to call Cad Bane hot, are you?
No, we have suave, sexy Cad Bane.
He's not sexy. He's suave, but he's kind of hideous. I mean, he has those weird vaping straws going into his cheeks. And he's kind of old, not very kissable lips. He's just he's more rugged than anything else.
his presence is suave.
Like, imagine how dry his hands are. I bet they're like really crusty, and it's like shaking hands with him would be just probably gross to touch. I can just feel him.
Okay, what would you call him? Hot hunky Captain Rex, gorgeous hunk Saw Gerrera, suave sexy Cad Bane.
He's rugged and rough. Sandpaper hands Cad Bane.
Hashtag
round fingers.
Sandpaper hands Cad Bane.
There you go.
There you go. Writing it down. That's our next Instagram post. Anyway, we got off topic. I'm sorry. Whose question were we answering? Anyway,
1R's 27-2 or something like that.
I feel bad. Look at what our tangent did.
No, we answered his question. He just asked what we thought about the end, and that's what we thought about the end.
Okay.
Cad Bane is back or whatever, and he's not sexy. I don't know why I call him that because he's not. But we good episode, good ending, and again, guys, you said the last question, so appreciate the questions, guys.
If I missed anybody this week, I was all over where I got questions. If I missed anybody this week, I'm very sorry, but keep sending your questions in because, again, it's fun to theorize on a weekly basis, and we want to hear from you guys.
That is true. We do.
Any predictions for next week?
I think I already made my predictions. I think next week I don't think we're going to see Crosshair much, if at all. He's going to be recovering. It's going to be really focused on Cad Bane, and I think the Bad Batch will be trying their very hardest to get Omega back. Possibility we see Boba in a couple episodes. I don't think that'll be next week. I think next week will be more of a filler episode if I had to guess.
You mean just kind of what's going on with Cad Bane? And I think we're going to get some juicy stuff on Omega next week. I think we're going to really start to learn who she is.
I think there might be a nugget or two, but I think that it's not going to be as eventful as the last two episodes. This is what happens. You gotta jump forward and pull it back. Jump forward and then pull it back. And that's what they tend to do with these stories is they'll probably have more of like a mission type of thing where it's not as plot focused, but we're still going to learn a couple nuggets here and there.
Last note before I forget, because I do want to bring this up. Sean and I think it's Dean Kiner, Kevin Kiner's sons, are doing the music for this show. Shout out to them because they've been killing it lately with everything in the music. Just the what's it called? The atmospheric music, when it comes to the Order 66 stuff. You get Crosshair's theme. You get Cad Bane and that sick. Amazing. They're doing incredible work right now. And you notice it every single episode.
Yeah, that was a great impression of the music, by the way. So I agree. They're great. They deserve a shout out. Sound design, music, animation, plots. Everything is great with this show.
They don't miss.
They don't miss
with the detail.
So I'm excited for next week. I think you are too. In the meantime, keep writing us questions, theories if you guys have them. Follow us on social media and stuff. AnotherStarWarsPod at gmail.com if you want to email your questions there. Anything else to add?
Yeah, we are on Apple Podcasts.
That's
now.
True. I forgot. Yeah, on Apple Podcasts.
Thank you, Matt. You guys can thank Matt for that.
Yeah,
I got through.
Busted my little tush to get it done. Not really. I just sent in a request and they did it for us. So that's on Apple Podcasts, which is great because I know a lot of people like listening on Apple. If you don't like Spotify, you don't have Spotify. Apple's a perfectly reasonable substitute. You don't have to pay for it or anything, and it's just on everyone's iPhone. So that's great. And if not, go to Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, any of the other podcasts, Anchor, wherever. But just go to Apple or Spotify. That's all you really need.
And if you guys like the show, please consider leaving us a review.
Yeah, and people don't know this, but leaving a review, like even just leaving 5 stars or a comment, it boosts you up in the rankings, and we would obviously appreciate that. So if you do like the show, let us know on Apple Podcasts, and then subscribe, do your thing, and we're also on YouTube. So if you want to see the full episodes in video, you can go there. If you don't want to listen, if you like watching better, which most of you seem to like watching better, but we're also putting up clips on there. The reaction videos are up there too, and then our Instagram has a lot of content as well. Melissa has been pushing out a lot of content lately on there, so she's been killing it.
Thank you.
But
you guys,
and thanks for your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for writing in and participating. We love these conversations.
Yeah. Honestly, guys, it's so much more fun to theorize with you instead of just going through like, oh, what do you think? Oh, what do you think? Because it brings you guys into the conversation. So we're going to continue doing that in the future and figuring out new ways to bring you guys on. So stay tuned for that. Next week is going to be kick-ass for sure. And I'm ready. Like, let's freaking go. This show has hit its stride. Now I'm sitting at the edge of my seat each week and I'm like, how do you top Captain Rex? Oh my God, you brought in Cad Bane. Well, how do you top Cad Bane? And now I'm like,
they just bring Luke in again somehow, like Mandalorian.
Luke shows up to save
that doesn't make
Omega.
sense. Yeah.
Bad Batch just give Omega to Luke.
Bo-Katan comes in and you're like, all right, this seems very similar to Mandalorian. We're excited. We'll see you guys next week. And thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.